So first of all, thanks again for joining me today for Spring Cleaning Your Landscaping Business. I'm just interested to hear from your perspectives, your experiences prior to CompanyCam, while using CompanyCam, things that have changed, processes that have improved. Wanted to get started off by talking about job site documentation, specifically photo documentation. What do you think makes photo documentation so important in the landscaping trade?
To me, what makes it so important, what we're trying to do, of course, is deliver a product. And a lot of times what we're doing is trying to improve maybe on the way that something looks. And it's not, beyond just the function and things like that. So we all agree probably that a good before and after, we have had challenges in the past of not taking before pictures. With CompanyCam, now that that's part of our process, or a salesperson, when we go out to the job, the very first time, we're snapping photos to be able to, you're going to be able to see it progress over time. Or one other thing would be, we just recently did a drainage project where after the pipe was put in the ground, the customer had questions, and it was difficult to confirm their question. We did what was right. We literally dug it up and put it back in to make sure it was right. But if we'd have taken pictures, probably wouldn't have done that. So those are some of the things that I see are good.
Gotcha. So time saving definitely sounds like it saves some money not having to dig up some of those pipes and relay them for sure.
I use CompanyCam quite a bit. I mean, all the way down to installing mulch. I have properties that get mulched twice a year, and I like for my guys to go out there and take pictures before they put the mulch down and then after they put the mulch down. That way, 3 or 4 months down the road, if a property manager comes back and they're like, oh, you didn't put mulch for us back in April when you said you did, I can pull back up CompanyCam and show them the pictures and seasonal color, the progress on how that's doing, and I use it quite a bit.
A lot of accountability there and just making sure that everything's covered and you've got that transparency with your clients. That's awesome.
Sure.
Brian, what about you?
I've been using CompanyCam for probably since the induction of CompanyCam. I think we started with it in 2014 when it first started. So over the years, I've watched it evolve and grow. I use CompanyCam for a number of reasons. Quality control is one. Our projects are not spaced extremely far apart, but when I'm on one project, such as this morning, it was helpful. I had 5 projects going this morning, and 2 or 3 maintenance projects going this morning. And one of the guys was on a patio job. He sent over some pictures of a footing that was found that was an unforeseen obstacle. He said it's 16 inches. He went on there and drew everything out and annotated properly. At which point I was able to look at the pictures and quickly come up with a solution. I was able to email the customer, so on and so forth. So not only just for that, we used it as a precaution to our for site management. So when we go out, if there's a crack in the driveway, we automatically take a picture. There's a crack in the driveway. We recently just had that issue. A customer said there was cracks from last season when we were on the driveway. I was able to go back and take a peek and say, hey, well, back on November 4th when we were there was a crack in the driveway on our first visit there before we ever even stepped on the property. Not that we're trying to not take care of it, but here's what you had previous. Here's pre-existing conditions. Coupled with, we use a lot of the features in CompanyCam, documents, the planner, and some other things on a regular basis. So our job books that go out of the office were a paper job book. Makes it much easier when they can just open up an electronic device, see everything. They still have tangible plans with them, but it makes it easier when they can just go into that. And of course, we have other foremen that are in the field that have a lot of experience, and not always do they reach out to me. They reach out to other foremen. So it's great. It's integrated with everybody here.
Yeah, a lot of covering your butt when clients may see something that they hadn't noticed previously, and you're like, nope, that was not us. It's pre-existing, or it happened post completion of our project. Also, that communication issue you touched on, if clients aren't reaching out directly to you, but a different foreman, they all have access to all of that information and can take care of those questions when they happen, when they come up. So when using CompanyCam, do you have certain people on your team who use it, or is there a specific time when you think you or your team members should be using it? And specifically, who is being protected by those job site photos?
Our foremen, every one of our foremen and our leads are on CompanyCam. So we have 5 foremen and 4 leads. Every one of those are listed as CompanyCam users. Are the owner of the company, myself, our designer, project manager, of course. All of us are included in the CompanyCam. So not every day does someone get a message on CompanyCam, but everyone here is included in that, and it makes the collaboration much easier throughout the day. Again, for instance, right now, I just saw something come across literally just now, and it's one foreman asking another foreman a question. So, and they'll deal with it. I don't have to necessarily jump off of this call and have to deal with that. It's huge. It's a huge thing for me. When I came to Garrett Churchill from the company I was at previously, it's one of the things that I brought with me and strongly suggested using. And again, when I was out at the project manager and the account managers meeting with Bach Business Partners, I brought it up in the meetings and said, this is what we use. And, and a lot of people were interested, of course. And it's just, I couldn't not have CompanyCam. It just wouldn't work for me anymore. And I'm old school. I've been doing this 28th season. I think I'm in here, 28 seasons. I couldn't do this again without CompanyCam.
That is awesome to hear. Brad, I see you nodding your head. You feel the same way?
I think that, so we're relatively new, about 4 or 5 months now, but we've seen a huge benefit from it. So, it's interesting to hear, Brian's comments and gives us something to look forward to. Right now, so our account manager, Jill, project manager Mark, and the majority of our crew leads. So it's something that all use CompanyCam. And what I see, so when I'm have a lot of responsibility on the project side, to communicate with Mark. He's out on projects. See, I recently stepped out of that, project manager role, but I still have to communicate with him because I do the designing and a lot of the selling. And so it allows us to be able to communicate with each other without being, having to go to the job, every morning or even every day, because he's doing that and I'm occupied with other things. And so it helps save me time. And then, you can quickly see something, you can comment on it, you can, whether you need to make a phone call, you need to make a correction or, give commendation. Say, hey, that was exactly like, we wanted it to, or, that was done in the correct way. And so it really, we've enjoyed it to this point. And even though it's been a shorter period of time, and I don't know how Jill would go about it, but I think that I know now if we didn't have it,
yeah, so with CompanyCam, it's also helped me with estimating. If it's a smaller bed, I can go out there and I can use the measure tool and measure the bed. I could walk it out and get the numbers. I can type in what the numbers are on each bed. I can draw on it. So if one of my crews is doing a small bed for the property, I can draw on it and show them exactly where to put it. They can take a picture and then we can take a before and after picture of what the bed looked like before we changed the plans out, and I can send that to the property manager, especially for the regionals that aren't there on site and they want to see the progress. So I can send that over to them and it looks really professional. And that's my biggest feature is it helps me a lot with estimating and measuring beds and being able to share the photos with my client.
Nicole, I also wanted to add, so in our office, and a lot of these offices run differently, right? So in our office, our designer and or the designer, or the, if you will, the architect, when they're looking at the drawings and they're putting everything together, to capture their vision, it's easier when we have pictures, right?
Yes.
So we have the pictures of the actual property. Now, in the old days, when you had a picture on a camera, you had a Polaroid, or even on your phone, depending on who took the picture, and you may have not have gotten the right view. So you can take a number of pictures, right? Countless pictures, because it's cloud-based and it's not a storage issue. We take a lot of the different pictures, and of course, during progression and after pictures, we take it the same position, so it's comparing apples to apples. But the thing for us is, so Andy Sykes, the owner of Garrett Churchill, when he's done with his design, or Dana Breslin are done with their design, what they do at that point is they turn it over to me. It's now my opportunity to take a look at the project, visit the site if I have to, look at the pictures. And I have a better grasp. And then I can then reach out to the customer, or I can, and I can share some pictures and say, hey, this is what I found on the property. Is this what we're looking for? Is this what you're looking for? So on and so forth. And even some rebuttals from the customer when they come back and they say, hey, well, I wasn't really looking to the right side too much, but now that I saw what you did, and we're able to share some things that are annotated on CompanyCam, it's great. So it's a working progress. And our crew members and our foremen have the opportunity weeks before the project even starts. We have a big project board and a maintenance board. They can look at it. So all of our foremen come in at least a day or two before they're finished their project that they're currently on. And they're looking ahead to see what they need. What do they need to mobilize? What equipment can they move? How far is the site? So on and so forth. So it's a great tool in that essence. And also the other thing that, and Brad touched on this, and I liked it, not being on site. So each day we get progression pictures from our guys. We have a standard operating procedure. So they arrive at the site in the morning, they take pictures. Now this might sound a little redundant, and then halfway through the day they take pictures. It's a timestamp. So it's also a timestamp to make sure my guys are working. If they're an hour away and I don't have the time to go an hour away, it's to make sure that they're working, they're progressing through the day. At the end of the day, they take pictures. So the guys often ask me, why am I taking a picture at the end of the day? Well, to make sure that there's no rakes that are flipped upside down. Make sure that all the safety equipment's safely put away. Make sure our equipment is where it's supposed to be, so that when the customer calls me later and says, hey, listen, your guy left a skid steer in my driveway, I know it wasn't there. Number one. Number two, I know it was there at the end of the day, and I know that, if it's not there in the morning, it was stolen, obviously. And they ask, why do we take them in the morning after we took them at night? See if there's been any changes. So we have a huge bed care division, which we go out and maintain properties for our customers. And one of our guys that's the head of bed care took upon himself this year, which I think is incredible, to actually, he started it last year, I should say, season by season, he has taken photos of each home that we take care of. And let's say September he has pictures, October he has pictures, November he has pictures, April, May, June, July. So we know what to expect throughout the season. So if I don't send him to that property and I send a different bed care team that's not familiar with that property, it's on CompanyCam. They know that there may be some clematis over to the left. There may be, we may have some daffodils that didn't come up yet on the right. So they have an idea of where they can work and what they can do. So it's a great tool insofar as organization.
So it sounds like, based off of all of your experiences with photo documentation at job sites, communication, transparency, and just saving time and money have been really big for the companies that you currently work at, you worked at in the past. And so I was just curious about what some of your best practices are that you and your team use, specifically that have improved your workflows, whether it's from the administrative side, the sales side, production, post-production. What steps or procedures have you put in place that you've really noticed payback on your end?
I think one of the biggest paybacks for us is the ability not to have to be on every site continually through the day for our guys to be able to collaborate with us through the app and going through the pictures. Could be a simple, quick discussion over the telephone, coupled with looking at the pictures that they may have there, and something tangible that I can actually see. So that's a big thing for us.
You know, I'm right there with Brian. We use it for everything that we do with Jay's Landscape. We use CompanyCam for, and just like Brad said earlier, there was a time where he needed to know something about a property, but he didn't have time to run to the property, and I was right there next to it. So I ran out there and took the pictures that he needed, and it helped him finish what he was working on. It helps my crews, it helps my project manager, it helps me, it helps admin.
So just having that accessibility to instant photo documentation that's accessible by everyone.
One way that it's helped me, I think, well, for sure, you think about time, and it's something that none of us can get more of, and so we have to use it wisely. And so not having to be, or go to every project, or being able to go to a project when I need to, or I can. I'd have to adjust, whatever, say the project manager can be there or the crew's there. It helps me a lot. I know the to-do list is something that I've grown fond of, because I can go, say I'm in the neighborhood and the project's almost complete. I can run by there, look at a few things, and usually it's just small details. But I can go there and snap a picture and start to create that to-do list. And then all of a sudden, I don't have to be there to pick out specifically. The team, can look at those photos. As an example, our crew leader, our production manager, Leon, whenever he's here and he's, in the office, I can say, let's look at this real quick, together, point out the pictures, and then we don't have to go out there and, on the side. It's been something that I've, a feature that I've liked, quite a bit. But I would say, mostly it's time. We can all communicate better, we're more effective that way as far as doing that, so that we're not having to, all load up in a truck, or sometimes it's interesting. We'll have, 3 different trucks just to have a meeting on a property, and and that from time to time, saying, how many trucks does it take to get this done? But whenever we're, sharing photos and communicating, the way we can with CompanyCam, then I think it's a very good thing.
No, that's awesome. It sounds like a lot of flexibility has been put into your workflow. Like you and Brian and Jill have all touched on, you don't need to be at job sites anymore to check in on how things are going. You could be at one job site or even at the office and know how every single property is progressing. And if you need to check in on something, or if you do need to go out to a specific job site just to make sure, the foreman there or the crew, if they're newer, learning processes, everything's going smooth, but saving you that commuting time. And,
there's a lot of apps that people want you to put on your phone, different services that you're thinking, well, is this just, I don't know, I'm going to say, is this valuable to me? As an example, we have a CRM program that you can, take photos of the property and you can put them in there. And I was wondering, like, okay, are we getting too redundant, with different apps to say, okay, we have an app for this and an app for that, could this ever be replaced by something? And I think, I know that, this app or, this service or tool, is standalone. To me, it's not something that, you would say, okay, well, I can take care of these things through something else. It's a very valuable tool, and but I know that's something that I've looked at, because I have people constantly coming to me saying, hey, what about this idea? What about that idea? Do we want to join? Take a minute. It's just, we can't need all this stuff, but I know that this is a tool that we need and we can utilize, and it benefits us.
So you touched on it briefly just a little bit ago, the to-do list. So I'm curious now, do all of you have a favorite CompanyCam feature that you just love to use, or you brag about? to-do lists, before and afters, you name it? Is there one that is just your go-to?
I like the document part of it. Andy will take our project plans, the blueprints, if you will, and he will upload them into that area as well as any other pertinent documents. So it's very easy. We do sometimes also upload the permits into that area, so they're readily available. But I really like the documents part of the app.
I haven't dabbled too much in the document part of the app, but I do plan on starting to try to use that. My favorite feature is all the little features that you use to help like draw a flower bed, the measure tool, the arrow. I can point to things and show my crews, or point to things, show the clients, the crop, the text tools. Those are all my favorite. I use those on a daily basis.
I don't know, it's my favorite is probably one of the more simple ones. One thing I don't like is entering a bunch of information. So I love the fact that when I open up the app and I can start taking pictures, I can look down and it already tells me the address. All I have to do is type in the first name and it's all, documented right there. So I'm not having to look up addresses or say, okay, where am I at exactly? Because it's all connected to the GPS. And so immediately, I don't have to create a folder. I don't do anything. You just type in that name, hit the button, and it, puts it where it needs to be, and then all those photos are there. So that's probably one of my favorites. I do like the to-do list, and I'm excited to learn, more of what's available.
No, that's awesome. It sounds like there's a little something for everybody, no matter where you're at in the process, from, administrative level to sales to production. Something is available for you to make sure that you can do your job the best possible way and continue to save time while still being able to be transparent with everybody else on your team. That is fantastic. And so we did talk a little bit about, Brian's been with CompanyCam pretty much since the beginning. Brad and Jill, a little bit newer CompanyCam users. Just curious how you and your teams got started using CompanyCam. What is the backstory there? How did you hear about us? What made you decide to take the leap of faith?
I want to say that I believe the first time I saw it was on Facebook. And I could be wrong, but it's been quite a few years, but I believe that's the first place I saw it. And I clicked on it and I hemmed and hawed. Like Brad touched on earlier, it's another moving part. It's another item. Do we really need an extra part to this? And once, I want to say that there was a free demo, and I went through the free demo and it just worked. And the company I worked for previously, the owner was there with me, and I ran the field. I ran the company for the most part. But in essence, he said, whatever's going to make your life easier. And it was great. I started in with it, and I want to say Facebook. So I think that's where it started. And then, of course, once I left that company, I introduced it to this company when I started here a couple seasons ago.
So we're part of a landscape network, the Bach Business Partners, and we went to an annual event, and so we were there, and CompanyCam was there, and so that's how we first came to know about CompanyCam, and of course Melissa was with me at the time, and she was very interested. Like I said, with me, sometimes I hear about so many things, and there's people that get invited, or people who want to give a talk and explain what they do. And so sometimes I'm listening, and sometimes I'm not. But she was, and she thought it was a very good idea, and of course brought it to my attention. And we talked a lot to the individuals that were there, and they were very helpful, very informative, and really got us excited about it because they were excited about it. And so once we were able to get back, home, because we were in Ohio at the time, then she kept that interest. we continued to pursue it, and of course, you guys followed up, and so that's how we came, to do that, but it was a little bit of a process, but it was good.
It was a pretty easy process too. Like whenever I brought in my crews, or my foremans, and the project manager, they mainly speak Spanish. So we found a Spanish version of the video on YouTube on how to use CompanyCam, and we sat down at a table together and they watched the video, and we had a translator there to answer any questions that they had. But the video itself was easy for them to understand. I logged them in. They were instantly clicking the buttons and figuring it out already. So it's really easy to learn as well.
Jill, you kind of touched on the last question I had. Is getting started with CompanyCam hard? If there were people out there on the fence, or maybe getting started, or maybe you've been longtime CompanyCam users, is there any advice that you would give them from your experience using CompanyCam, whether it's been years like Brian, or you've just gotten started like you and Brad have? Any advice you would give those people maybe on the fence?
The hardest part with CompanyCam is getting in the routine of using it. So my advice to everybody is just remember, whenever you pull up on a job site, pull it out. Whenever you're working on a project, pull out CompanyCam. Whenever you're done, pull out CompanyCam. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. It has so many features, and it's just getting in the routine of using the app. But once you're in the routine of it, it's a no-brainer. It's really easy to learn. Great YouTube videos on how to use it, and we love it here.
I would say that, so for instance, if you're thinking about an app or getting, you're familiar with something, when you first got your first smartphone or iPhone, you didn't know much. How you started using it. And when you started using it, you started learning, and more, and even probably a year later, you would learn, some feature that it had, and it would be like, oh, wow, I had no idea that was available to me. And so even to me, and being even part of this, this meeting, and I'm here, listening to Brian, I'm excited because there's things that he's mentioned even today that it's like, oh, I didn't know they had those things. So I'm excited to learn about those things. So I would say this, though, in its simplest form, just taking pictures and be able to document that, there's value. And as much as we've been able to learn in just the past, 4 or 5 months, there's value. And then you look at the value Brian gets from it. And so I'm excited to continue to add that value. And I think anyone else would find the same.
The implementation part of CompanyCam is simple. The team at CompanyCam is very tangible. They're very open. They're easily accessible to us. I have had several calls with different members, Nicole as well as other members, just to talk about different features that may come up that already are there that I may not have known about. Andy and myself sat through a quick call with one of the team members from CompanyCam recently, and he just wanted to make sure that we understood, a few of the different features that were there and the progression from when they started to where they are now, and the potential for more progression with the app. The app is it's simple to start. It's easy to use. Jill said the hardest part is getting used to using it or putting it into motion of using it. And I'll add one thing to that. Once, and this is really user based, but once using it, it helps to, if you would take the pictures at the same angles, so you have the same before progression, during, after pictures as you would, that way you can see, compare apples to apples. So when you're looking from the left to the right, if you have the same pictures continually throughout, it helps tremendously. But I've not had any problems, and every time that I've ever called, someone has been responsive within hours to me. So great app, and I love it.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining in today. Any last thoughts, comments, advice that you would want to give to any of our viewers watching?
It's an investment that pays you back. quickly. It's not something that takes years. The investment of time, fuel, energy, peace of mind, it's definitely a tool that pays you back very quickly.
Once you get it up and running, it definitely makes your job easier.
Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time and your willingness to join in, and we will all chat soon. We heard some great conversation from our speakers earlier. Now let's dig into some of those features with our customer success specialist, Jess.
Hi, my name is Jess with the customer success team here at CompanyCam. Today I'm going to teach you how to capture photos, annotate those photos, and also add comments on the photos and projects should you need to. So what I'm going to show you here first, you'll see we have the mobile version of CompanyCam pulled up over here on your screen, and then we also will show you the desktop version as well. So what you'll notice here when you got onto your CompanyCam home screen, you'll see your nearby projects. Now that's going to be based on your GPS location. So if you have a previously created project that's in that area, you'll see that pop up there. To start taking photos, I have a number of different options here. I can hop directly into that project. I can click on that take photo button. I can click on the plus sign down below and add photos from my camera reel if I have pre-existing photos I need to add, or I can click on the camera button right there. So what I can also do from my home screen is you'll see down below the blue camera button at the bottom. If I click on that, this will let me choose which project I want to start taking photos for. I can choose recent projects, take a look at my map, or I can search. So I'm just going to once again go to my nearby projects, select that one, and I'm going to start taking photos. So the nice thing about CompanyCam is you don't need to take a photo, wait for it to load, and then take another photo. You can start rapid fire taking photos. And you'll see down in the lower left-hand corner, you're going to see a little square with a number in it. That's going to indicate how many photos you just took. So once you're done, you can just click on the done button right there. And you'll see that those are immediately going to populate back into that feed. Now, the nice thing about this is if you have somebody back at the office who needs access to those immediately as well, they will also see those populate on the desktop version in real time. Also, anybody else who has access to those projects will be able to see them on their mobile version as well. So the other great thing that you can do here is if I get into my photo, you'll see that I have a number of different options down here, such as my comment button, my tag button. That little squiggly mark is going to be to add annotations, or I can click on this button right here. If I ever need to take like a before and after, I can choose to take an after photo here as well. So I am just going to get into my annotations real quickly. So as I mentioned before, you can add an annotation directly onto the photo by using this little squiggly mark down below. What you might want to do before you start marking up the photo itself is go over here to this little 3-dot ellipses menu, click on that, and you may want to duplicate the photo first. That way it will give you a clean version of the photo in addition to the one that you're going to mark up. So once I'm ready, I can just click on that squiggly icon, and you'll see your list of annotation options over here on the right. So from here, you can draw on the photo, add arrows, add circles. You can also adjust the brightness if you need to, and you can also crop the photo down below. So once again, if I just need to indicate damage or something like that, I might click on the little squiggly mark to draw on the photo, circle those areas that I need to. Otherwise, I can always use this arrow functionality and drag my endpoints to where I need to point things out, or I could circle the items. So you'll see with these options, you'll have the ability to add text, duplicate those, or I can just delete them by clicking on that trash can right there. So if I ever need to add a measurement, there's a real quick and easy way to do that. You'll see that little V-shaped icon up here. This is going to be your line functionality. Once again, I'll just need to drag my endpoints where I need them to be. And this won't automatically measure for you, but what you can do is click on the little text option. You can type in a note if you need to, or you can add measurements in feet and inches or meters and centimeters. So we'll say my frame here is about 14 inches. So I'm going to say 1 foot, 2 inch, save, and you'll see that that's added directly onto the photo there. So I'm just going to click on the check mark, indicate that that's done, and then my photo is annotated and I can click on save. Now that will once again be saved to my project, and they'll also be able to see that annotation there on the desktop version as well. So if I need to comment to somebody else on my team that they need to take a look at this, I can just use the simple comment functionality directly on the photo itself. So you'll see that little comment bubble down in the lower left-hand corner. And if I click on that, I just need to type in my message. And then I can either hit that @ button or type in the @ button. And this is going to pull up all of the users on the account. So I'm going to comment to my coworker Andrew here and click on post. Now what will happen is Andrew will receive a push notification to his phone like he would if he got a Facebook message or a text. And then in addition to that, on his home screen, down at the bottom, you'll see that little bell icon. And that bell is going to show you your notifications. If you do have a notification, they'll show with a little red circle with a number in it, indicating you have something that you need to take a look at. So you can also do this on the project level. So you'll see here, I have already added a comment. I haven't added anybody into the actual comment section itself. But once again, same logic applies there. I can click on the @ sign, pull up any users on the account, and they'll receive a notification there as well. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you do have any questions, do feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. We'll be happy to walk you through any aspect of CompanyCam.